Okay, welcome back to this channel. Let us talk about the non-chordata. The non-chordata refer to invertebrates. The non-chordata refer to what? The invertebrates. Now, what that means is animals without backbones. Animals without what? Backbones. No backbones. The word vertebrata refers to backbone. Is that okay? So, and chord here too also. Non-chord means non-chordata, that is non-chordate, or you say animals that don't have notochord, which is the primitive form. Notochord, let me spell that well. Animals that don't possess notochord, they don't have notochord. I say it's the primitive form of the spinal cord. The spinal cord. All right. So now we are going to be beginning with the first phylum under this group of invertebrates. We have the phylum Protozoa. The word proto means early. Proto means what? Early. Early. And zoa from the word zoo, of course, right? Meaning animal. Is that okay? Animal. So we call them what? Early animals. Early animals. I said early and animals. Okay. So that's that. Now, initially, it was placed in the animal kingdom, but it could not be called as animals as they showed characteristics of both plant and animals like Euglena. Euglena fits into two groups. Euglena is both classified as a plant and as an animal. And don't forget that this question is usually asked in your exams. Jam, for example, Euglena is the one that has both plant and animal characteristics. Is that okay? It has a mouth or a gullet. Is that okay? And a gullet or a throat is for an animal. Yes, an animal. While the um, peliquid possesses is for a plant. Is that okay? Um, so that is the Euglena for you. It has both plant and animal characteristics. See, just move it, move it. So it has both plant and animal characteristics. Now, thus, finally, Haeckel placed them. Haeckel was one of the um, biologists that helped in the taxonomy classification. Haeckel. So Haeckel placed them in a separate kingdom called the Protista. So there are two types of protists, or we say protoctists. That's another. It's the same. Is that okay? Protoctist or protists. Is that okay? So later, Whitaker now designed the five kingdom. Robert Whitaker was the one that defined or described the five kingdom that we use. Now, Now, we are going to be talking about their habitat. And their habitat can be aquatic, can be terrestrial, and they coexist as free living animals. So they coexist as free living animals, such as we see in amoeba. Amoeba is free living. Amoeba is free living. We have parasitic forms such as plasmodium. So all of these guys, amoeba, plasmodium, proteosporingia, and spongia, at entamoeba histolytica, and leishmania rather, is also a protozoa. So all of these guys you see here are all protozoans. Do you understand? So, and the level of organization in which they exist is the protoplasmic level. How, albeit in your textbooks, you might see at the cell level. Is that okay? Protoplasmic is just a level that contains a living. Protoplasm refers to a living component of the cell. Is that okay? So we're just talking about the cell too, basically. So it exists in the cellular stage, at least for O level. For this your O level, just take it as say it exists at what? The cell level of organization, or all of these organisms. They exist in what level? The protoplasmic level, which can be said to be the cell level of organization, but they are not exactly the same. They are not exactly the same. So, well, let's just say they are the cell. They exist in the cell level organization. Now, they consist of protoplasm with a single or more than one nucleus. So, for example, we have paramecium, which has. We also have paramecium. We have epistelis. These guys, they both have two nuclei. They have the meganucleus and the micronucleus. Is that okay? So then we have the um, now they may also be enveloped by a plasma lemma. Plasma lemma they refers to the cell membrane, or may be enclosed with by a pellicle or a cyst or a theca or a lorica or a shell. Is that okay? As we see in the various forms of these organisms. Then locomotion is by different organs. So we have for amoeba uses pseudopodium to walk. So you have seen the structure of an amoeba before. You see some lines that run like this. Is that okay? That line that runs like that there is called the pseudopodium. Pseudo, okay, so the word pseudo means false. So anything you hear pseudo something, such as pseudonym, for example. Pseudonym means false name or nickname. Is that okay? So, so the point is pseudo there means what? False. And podia, whenever you hear anything that ends with pod in biology, it's most likely referring to leg, pod or ped. Is that okay? Mm. So that is about their locomotory structure. Then for paramecium, it uses hair-like projections called cilia rather. Hair-like projections called what? Cilia. So the primary guy moves with the aid of a cilia. Then so then the plasmodium has no locomotory structure. Plasmodium has no, take note of that, no locomotory structure. While cilia, paramecium, and pseudopodia have the for the amoeba, pseudopodia. Is that okay? Then, of course, the greener uses flagella. We classify those ones that use flagella as the mastigophorans. We are going to get to classification so anyway. And the one that uses cilia, we call them ciliates. Okay, so now we now have nutrition. Um, Amoeba feeds holozoically. Then the the Euglena feed by mesotrophic. Mesotrophic means different modes. Is that okay? It can produce its food and it can also feed heterotrophically. Then parasitic is the plasmodium. We have talked about that. Then digestion is intracellular. Now you should always take note of some of these things, especially this digestion. It's usually asked to, because of course it has what? Food vacuoles, or they usually have food vacuole. So how will digestion be? It's going to be inside the cell. Is that okay? Because the food vacuole is inside the cell, right? So now let's talk about their respiration. They exchange gases through body surface. Why? Because their surface area to volume ratio is very small. Surface area to volume ratio So so we said the respiration is what by body surface. And now, if you have any questions, just do well to drop them in the comment section. Now, they also excrete. I mean, for example, they have contractile vacuoles. So these contractile vacuoles help them to exude nitrogenous wastes, which is what ammonia. Practically, the the so um, the excretion takes place where in the contractile vacuole. Okay, so we have the next one. The process of their mode of excretion is called osmoregulation. Osmoregulation. So that is how the contractile vacuole works in excreting substances. Is that okay? So now we've mentioned the fact that amoeba has one vacuole, but paramecium has two vacuoles and two nucleus. Is that okay? Or two nuclei. Amoeba has nuclei. So now let's talk about the structure. So you're going to see in this guy, in this euglena, you're going to see it has this is the structure of the euglena. You're going to notice some things here. You will notice the following things. Now, I told you it belongs to both animal group and plant group. So you see chloroplast here, which is what? For photosynthesis. So it makes it what? Belong to the plant family. Then of course it has eye spots too. It has eye spot and eye spots around the, oh, I think this is, it's called the eye spot. So that is that about the Euglena. Then let's see the diagram of the paramecium. Paramecium looks like a slipper shape. Okay, remember this one looks like love shape. That's Euglena. Then this one looks like slipper shape. So that is paramecium. We're going to see this is the what? Micronucleus, the small nucleus, micro, the big nucleus, macro or mega. Is that okay? And this portion is called the oral groove. Is that okay? So we have the paramecium. Now the reproduction is basically asexual. Reproduction is mostly asexual and is by binary fission. In amoeba, um, transverse fission in paramecium, longitudinal fission in euglena, and multiple fission in plasmodium. Let me show you what that means. So we have the binary fission, which is fission into two. We have the transverse fission. It's basically like that, but this time it's like this. It's basically like the binary fission. It's just different forms of binary fission. Then we have the longitudinal fission. If you call it longitudinal, it definitely means that it's cutting along like something like this. It means the shape is ovoid. It's okay. So then, so these are their mode of fission. You're going to see the parents will fuse and will divide and divide and divide. Karyokinesis will take place, cytokinesis will not take place. And then we'll see that we have covered Okay. So then we've talked about this example. Now let's talk about their classifications. We have the mastigophorans or flagellates, the sarcodina, which is the amoeba group and interamoeba. Then we have the ciliates and the sporozoans. The ciliates and the sporozoans. Ciliates is from the word cilia, so which is what paramecia move by. So of course you will know that it has what um, um, to belong under the group ciliate. We also have epistelis. Epistelis is also a ciliate. Is that okay? It's all and it's also most of these ciliates, no, not most, some of these ciliates, I'll just say, are parasitic. Is that okay? Some of them are parasitic. In sporozoans, we have sporozoan means, so let's analyze the name. Sporozoan means spore forming animals. Is that okay? Animals that produce spore. So those are plasmodium. Is that okay? They are called sporozoans or they belong to the group sporozoa. Okay, now which of the organisms considered to be immortal are considered to be immortal? You can use that to hack your brain, right? Now, so that will be all for this video on on protozoans. I'm going to go to the next book, which will be the family of the kingdom Animalia. We'll begin from the poriferans. Now, this video is going to be the second video where we do our classification. And in the physical class where I'm going to be appearing, I'm going to do some other system of classification that will help us to understand this thing. And I'll talk more about these things again. But the most important thing is that make sure to see the question and answer session. I always talk about this, the Q&A session. Not like question and answer, I mean questions, likely questions. Yes, and their answers. Please look out for it. Is that okay? Look out for it. All right. See you in the next video. God bless you.